Tell me your 13th dream. Hereupon the king said, Methought, sir, I saw huge blocks of solid rock, as big as houses, floating like ships upon the waters. What shall come of it? This dream also shall not have its fulfillment before such times as those of which I have spoken. For in those days unrighteous kings shall shew honour to the low-born, who shall become great lords, whilst the nobles sink into poverty. Not to the nobles, but to the upstarts alone shall respect be paid. In the royal presence, in the council chamber, or in the courts of justice, the words of the nobles learned in the law, and it is they whom the solid rocks typify, shall drift idly by, and not sink deep into the hearts of men. When they speak, the upstarts shall merely laugh them to scorn, saying, What is this these fellows are saying? So too in the assemblies of the brethren, as aforesaid, men shall not deem worthy of respect the excellent among the brethren, the words of such shall not sink deep, but drift idly by even as when the rocks floated upon the waters. Howbeit, you have nothing to fear therefrom. Tell me your 14th dream. Methought, sir, I saw tiny frogs, no bigger than minute flowerets, swiftly pursuing huge black snakes, chopping them up like so many lotus stalks and gobbling them up. What shall come of this? This dream too shall not have its fulfillment till those days to come such as those of which I have spoken, when the world is decaying. For then shall men's passions be so strong, and their lusts so hot, that they shall be the thralls of the very youngest of their wives for the time being, at whose sole disposal shall be slaves and hired servants, oxen, buffaloes, and all cattle, gold and silver, and everything that is in the house. Should the poor husband ask where the money, say, or a robe is, at once he shall be told that it is where it is, that he should mind his own business, and not be so inquisitive as to what is, or is not, in her house. And therewithal in divers ways the wives with abuse and goading taunts shall establish their dominion over their husbands, as over slaves and bondservants. Thus shall it be like as when the tiny frogs, no bigger than minute flowerets, gobbled up the big black snakes. Howbeit, you have nothing to fear therefrom. Tell me your 15th dream. Methought, sir, I saw a village crow, in which dwelt the whole of the 10 vices, escorted by a retinue of those birds which, because of their golden sheen, are called royal golden mallards. What shall come of it? This dream too shall not have its fulfillment till the future, till the reign of weakling kings. In days to come kings shall arise who shall know nothing about elephants or other arts, and shall be cowards in the field. Fearing to be deposed and cast from their royal estate, they shall raise to power not their peers but their footmen, bath attendants, barbers, and such like. Thus, shut out from royal favour and unable to support themselves, the nobles shall be reduced to dancing attendants on the upstarts as when the crow had royal golden mallards for a retinue. Howbeit, you have nothing to fear therefrom. Tell me your 16th dream. Heretofore, sir, it always used to be panthers that preyed on goats, but methought I saw goats chasing panthers and devouring them munch, whilst at bare sight of the goats afar off, terror-stricken wolves fled quaking with fear and hid themselves in their fastnesses in the thicket one. Such was my dream. What shall come of it? This dream too shall not have its fulfillment till the future, till the reign of unrighteous kings. In those days the lowborn shall be raised to lordship and be made royal favourites, whilst the nobles shall sink into obscurity and distress. Gaining influence in the courts of law because of their favour with the king, these upstarts shall claim perforce the ancestral estates, the raiment, and all the property of the old nobility. And when these latter plead their rights before the courts, then shall the king's minions have them cudgelled and bastinadoed and taken by the throat and cast out with words of scorn, such as know your place, fools. What? Do you dispute with us? The king shall know of your insolence, and we will have your hands and feet chopped off and other correctives applied. Hereupon the terrified nobles shall affirm that their own belongings really belong to the overbearing upstarts, and will tell the favourites to accept them. And they shall hie them home and there cower in an agony of fear. Likewise, evil brethren shall harry at pleasure good and worthy brethren, till these latter, finding none to help them, shall flee to the jungle. And this oppression of the nobles and of the good brethren by the lowborn and by the evil brethren, shall be like the scaring of wolves by goats. Howbeit, you have nothing to fear therefrom. For this dream too has reference to future times only. It was not truth, it was not love for you, that prompted the Brahmins to prophesy as they did. No, it was greed of gain, and the insight that is bred of covetousness, that shaped all their self-seeking utterances. Thus did the Master expound the import of these 16 great dreams, adding "You, sire, are not the first to have these dreams, they were dreamed by kings of bygone days also, and, then as now, the Brahmins found in them a pretext for sacrifices, whereupon, at the instance of the wise and good, the Bodhisattva was consulted, and the dreams were expounded by them of old time, in just the same manner as they have now been expounded." And so saying, at the king's request, he told this story of the past. Once on a time when Brahmadatta was reigning in Benares, the Bodhisattva was born a Brahmin in the north country. When he came to years of discretion he renounced the world for a hermit's life, he won the higher knowledges and the attainments, and dwelt in the Himalaya country in the bliss that comes from insight. In those days, in just the same manner, Brahmadatta dreamed these dreams at Benares, and inquired of the Brahmins concerning them. And the Brahmins, then as now, set to work at sacrifices. Amongst them was a young Brahmin of learning and wisdom, a pupil of the king's chaplain, who addressed his master thus: "Master, you have taught me the 3 Vedas. Is there not therein a text that says the slaying of one creature giveth not life to another? My son, this means money to us, a great deal of money. You only seem anxious to spare the king's treasury. Do as you will, master," said the young Brahmin, "as for me, to what end shall I tarry longer here with you?" And so saying, he left him, and betook himself to the royal pleasaunce. That self-same day the Bodhisattva, knowing all this, thought to himself, "If I visit today the haunts of men, I shall work the deliverance of a great multitude from their bondage." So, passing through the air, he alighted in the royal pleasaunce and seated himself, radiant as a statue of gold, upon the ceremonial stone. The young Brahmin drew near and with due obeisance seated himself by the Bodhisattva in all friendliness. Sweet converse passed, and the Bodhisattva asked whether the young Brahmin thought the king ruled righteously. "Sir," answered the young man, "the king is righteous himself, but the Brahmins make him side with evil." Being consulted by the king as to 16 dreams which he had dreamed, the Brahmins clutched at the opportunity for sacrifices and set to work thereon. "Oh, sir, would it not be a good thing that you should offer to make known to the king the real import of his dreams and so deliver great numbers of creatures from their dread? But, my son, I do not know the king, nor he me. Still, if he should come here and ask me, I will tell him." "I will bring the king, sir," said the young Brahmin, "if you will only be so good as to wait here a minute till I come back." And having gained the Bodhisattva's consent, he went before the king, and said that there had alighted in the royal pleasaunce an air-travelling ascetic, who said he would expound the king's dreams. Would not his majesty relate them to this ascetic? When the king heard this, he repaired at once to the pleasaunce with a large retinue. Saluting the ascetic, he sat down by the holy man's side, and asked whether it was true that he knew what would come of his dreams. "Certainly, sire," said the Bodhisattva, "but first let me hear the dreams as you dreamed them." "Readily, sir," answered the king, and he began as follows: bulls first, and trees, and cows, and calves. Horse, dish, she-jackal, waterpot. A pond, raw rice, and sandalwood. And gourds that sank, and stones that swam. And so forth, ending up with and wolves in panic fear of goats. And his majesty went on to tell his dreams in just the same manner as that in which King Pasenadi had described them. Enough, said the great being, you have nothing to fear or dread from all this. Having thus reassured the king, and having freed a great multitude from bondage, the Bodhisattva again took up his position in mid-air, whence he exhorted the king and established him in the 5 commandments, ending with these words: henceforth, O king, join not with the brahmins in slaughtering animals for sacrifice. His teaching ended, the Bodhisattva passed straight through the air to his own abode. And the king, remaining steadfast in the teaching he had heard, passed away after a life of almsgiving and other good works to fare according to his deserts. His lesson ended, the master said, you have nothing to fear from these dreams, away with the sacrifice. Having had the sacrifice removed, and having saved the lives of a multitude of creatures, he shewed the connection and identified the birth by saying, Ananda was the king of those days, Sariputta the young Brahmin, and I the ascetic.